Hi guys, hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying sane, safe, well fed, well hydrated. Today I'm going to look at a couple, but first I want to thank you to all my new subscribers and those of you who are coming back today or whenever it is I post, commenting. It means so much to me. Keep hitting those buttons like you're doing. I love it. Today I'm going to be looking at Richard Nixon. I've been wanting to get into him. And somebody suggested, I said, oh yeah, I want to do Richard Nixon, Tricky Dick. I haven't got an opinion about that. He gave me some fascinating images. And on the flip side, I'm going to look into Tupac. He is like super animated and he had a lot to share. He is, I'm super connected with him and I have no idea why, because not anything I've ever thought, but in the past I have read on him. He has some opinions about Mr. Diddy. So I'll let you know about those and some other friends of his or non-friends. All right, let's get started. I got to hurry up and do this because, Tricky Dick, because I've got to get new shocks for my car. I don't want to travel. I'm going to be driving all the way up to Canada and I don't want to have any issues with my shocks and they were telling me I need them. So let's get started. Richard Nixon. Now on a soul level, it's different than his human experience, his incarnation of Richard Nixon. On a soul level, he's up and ascended into the heavenly realms. And everybody, when they do that, they go to the Council of Light and they have to get a kind of a readout of what you learned, what you didn't learn, what you can work on. And it's all very kind and loving, but it's just an assessment, kind of like your judgment day or whatever it is. But anyway, I digress. So he loved and hated the name Tricky Dick. He loved it because of the innuendo it implied. And he didn't like it because he didn't want to feel like a con man. He didn't want people to see him as a con man or a clever, tricky person. But immediately I felt like, he says, I am not who I was on the outside. He immediately felt like he had a facade. He wasn't the same in or out. He really, he was completely different. He wanted everything in ambition. He is so ambitious. I just feel the sense of that is the number one priority, his ambition. So he acted the part. He was always acting. I don't know if he ever felt at ease with himself or was his real self, his authentic self. He needed to be loved. And he said, I love Pat so much, a lot, but I left her for my first love, me, he said. So he did love her, but he was first. He came first later. And he said his kids got nothing either. And I asked him, did you learn anything? He says, I would still go back and do it again. He said, I loved being the president and powerful, and he regretted nothing. The thing is, when your soul makes this contract to come down at a certain time and to learn some sort of lesson, you do it through the ego of a human. So his ego, or his incarnation of Richard Nixon, he had to go through that to learn his lesson on a soul level. So he regrets nothing. He says, I could not be different. He said, I was in charge, and that felt good. That's the best part. Duties and American good was not as fun. So the part where he was in control and he was giving people orders, tell them to go to Watergate and record stuff we recorded all of his discussions in the Oval Office, I think, or wherever he was. And that was what got him off. He loved that part of it. He did his duties as a president, but it was more about being all powerful, kind of. I'm hearing the all powerful mighty Oz or whatever it is. He says, it's good that the laws changed after me. And he said they will some more due to Trump. He said the American people or the Congress will change the laws due to Trump. I asked him if he ever met with him, and he said yes. Because I don't know when Nixon died, but I mean, Trump would have been 25 years younger than him, but still, they still would have crossed paths maybe in New York. He said, we briefly met and we sort of used one another. He was asking lots of questions. Nixon said Trump was asking lots of questions. He wanted money and advice, and he listened intently. He said Trump listened to him intently. But the funny thing is that Nixon said he was so gullible then too. He feels like he is very manipulatable. Trump is, and he was really gullible. He's not very smart. He said I could manipulate him then. He said no common sense. He said more criminal than me even, which is interesting. He said he will destroy anyone who gets in his way. And Nixon says, I respected that, but knew he was dangerous. He said, American people are gullible, sometimes too. And he said, he will go soon, quote unquote. And I was like, how long is that? Give us some dates. And I got the feeling it was months and years, so not like next week. I know months and years aren't the same thing, but later I wrote it down. It's about 2 years is what I'm feeling. He's waiting. Oh, so I asked him, are you back down here on a soul level? He said he's waiting to incarnate something specific and important he has to do. So he's waiting for this particular life or this particular situation to open up. And I don't know what that is. Oh, I'm so itchy. I have such allergies. I don't know if you guys, your sinus is itchy on my forehead. Everything's blooming here in Arizona. And he said about himself, he said the human, on a soul level I was asking, he said the human Nixon was an evil bastard. But that was the part I played, he said. And he said Washington, D.C. is a corrupt city, deeply bribable everywhere. And I was asking him, what can we do? Are there changes ahead? And he said the American people will rise up. And he said there could be deaths, like the revolutionary times, as she said. And it will take longer to recover. He said it's going to take a long time to recover. He said, but everything ends eventually. He said that's just the way things are. Everything does end. It has to. He said Trump has no discipline, and it's just a matter of time. And then it's when I got the 2 years moment or time frame. He said, Nixon says, I represented the U.S. collective karma, and now Trump does too. Elect person who represents to mood. What in the heck is my writing? I can't read it. The person who gets elected represents the mood of the time. Obviously, that's not a brainer. And he said that relates to the moons, the mood, the time frame, free will changes, etc. He said, but we're going to go down a little bit more. Downhill, he used the word downhill a little bit more. He said, then the Great Awakening. I hope that comes sooner than later. This Great Awakening. And then he said, and then I moved on to, then I got put in the mind because of Trump in the old times in the 80s and maybe 90s or whenever it was. And I'm thinking of Jeffrey Epstein. And I know this is a totally just left turn here, but I'm in Jeffrey Epstein's cell. And I read on him before, and I always thought he did take his own life, but then I read on him and I realized he did not. And this time, it was always there, and there was always something about his shoes. I have no idea. And I see these like brown leather slippers, but I know when you're in jail, you wear these cheapy plastic, slip-ons. There was something about him having his good shoes or his own slippers that had leather and that were beautiful and burnished and brown. When he looks down, he would feel not in jail, not incarcerated. He would feel like himself, basically, more normal. So I don't know if he had them or he wanted them, but either way, he was drugged, and there was people that came in and did that to him. So he didn't really fight because he was drugged. So that's what happened. That's the image I got. So he did not go away on his own. He was helped forcefully. Anyway, and he wanted to see his expensive shoes on his feet. That was the other thing. So I don't know if he did have them or he wanted to have them or that was part of the thing. But he, on the other side, I know this is a complete left turn. I didn't mean to go here, but he has regrets. Nixon did it. It's funny how they each had their job in this life, karma, to execute or relieve or get over or reconcile old stuff. and remove it from their soul or balance the balance sheet, kind of thing. And he feels like he did a ton of stuff wrong, and he should have been a better person, especially when it comes to those girls. And especially, that's what it feels like. It feels like those girls were the big regret, obviously. And it was something about, I don't want to say childhood is not the right place, maybe young manhood, where he made this decision to be this type of person. It's the same feeling that I get like when I pick up like Stephen Miller or people in the Trump orbit that are really like adrenaline junkies and they need that power fix. It's the same feeling that I get from him. He feels like he loved that power fix. So there's something broken inside of him that he needed to fill, and it filled it with power and money. The S stuff that he did was about power, not about, what happens at the end. But it was more about power. It was always about power and money. And he felt like he could manipulate a lot of the people that came to his home, his island, wherever that was. He felt like he could manipulate a lot of them, and that gave him that high. So that's very similar to that Nixon-Trump relationship, where he felt like he could manipulate Trump, and Nixon felt like he could manipulate other people. And Epstein felt the same way. He felt like he can manipulate a lot of people. That's a very common denominator through all these rich, well-off, to-do, powerful men, maybe some women too, but most of the time now it's been the men. Anyway, yeah, Epstein feels like he made some mistakes, or a lot of mistakes, and he has regrets. So he is still up there doing lots of learning and healing. He's in his school of learning. He's, some people say that there is no hell. It's more about recovery. Your soul is just broken, and you have to go through some deeply difficult experiences to understand what you've done and be confronted with it. So that's where he's at right now. He's being confronted with all the things and the pain and stuff that he's caused. So he's in that regretful place, or regretting what he did here. And it's funny, on a soul level, you're supposed to learn these things. So why isn't this part of your soul? Well, okay. So in the past, he did something similar in another life. I see snow somewhere where there's snow. Anyway, he did that in a past life. So he was supposed to recover from that in this life and push beyond it, learn, heal his soul, but he did it. So there you go. He kept that pattern going, And so he's going to have to have a mulligan or a redo. He's going to come back and have to redo it in some way, shape, or form. It may not be the exact same behavior he has to confront, but something similar. And we'll see, maybe next time around. But yeah, anyway, interesting. All right, you guys, tell me what you think. All right, now let's get into Tupac. I can still feel him here. He's so animated, this guy. He's just, I know it sounds weird, his heart feels so good. He was a special being. He was just a very unique, like I saw Barbara Bush as this giant light. I know that's completely different. I see him as a super elevated, evolved being. I know that sounds weird, but that's what he was. And so he's like down in my face and waving. He's like, hello, hello, hello. And it's so crazy. And he's waving his hands everywhere. And I asked him, first thing I said is, what does he think about this Diddy situation? And he said he's a mess. He said, oh yeah, he was in on it, meaning he was in on his shooting death, Tupac. I don't think he pulled the trigger, but he was in on the planning and somehow the execution of it. He was part of that. He said he's bad. He needs to stay in jail. Several others are dead like me, but not with me. Oh, people in their orbit, the rap world, they're people they knew in these groups. I don't want to say gangs, but people that they hung around with in the music industry, the rappers. A lot of them are gone now. He said his mom is with him and he's happy about that. They had a very deep relationship. I felt this super deep, like past life experience, like hundreds of lives together. And there's something about their relationship that, for good or bad, whatever it was, she got him to be where he is. I don't know, but anyway, so there's something about their relationship that's very important, and he's there with her. And I asked about, in general, politics and everything that's happening right now. He said, keep the voice of the people up, quote unquote, minorities, poor, and underserved communities, etc., on the sidelines. He's saying we have to keep the people's voices up. So I got in the mind of some of the old, like, rappers would just rap about, their songs were about the blight of their community and what they experienced. And so it's like kind of vibe I got, like, we need to keep yelling and talking about that, and in whatever way works for us. Doesn't have to be a rap or a hip hop song, but just whatever works for us. And he said, we got to keep our voices up. Like I said, he feels like a bright light. He feels very bright. His energy is powerful and highly evolved, and it feels super intense. And so I think that's why he comes so easily, is like, he just like, he's like waving and very energetic. He feels like when he was here, was like a child on earth. He was not childish. He was not innocent, but open to, how children are. You could tell them anything and they're open. Okay, that's the truth. It wasn't like that exactly, but he was a sensitive, childlike, open soul. That's the feeling I got. And it feels really good. He said he moved. I asked him, where are you now? Are you way up there? Where are you? He said, I'm into several people. And I'm like, I have no idea what that means. And it takes me, I'll tell you in a second. He says, because I can, and I'm big like that. like he's kind of like, yeah, I can do that because I'm like evolved and I have all these power or the ability, or I can send my energy into different beings or situations. He said so then what I got, a couple of fractions of his soul, like with Laura Nero, I got her as two fractured pieces or in different places. Like, she hasn't put herself back together again. And it's the same thing, but him is different. He is different. Most of his soul is together. He's chosen, or there's something, it's not broken in him. He's chosen to send some of his energetic particles, fractions of light, to be down here, to be in our atmosphere, our energetic field. And then I saw a child. I feel very strongly that there's a child he's watching over. And I think that's part of the fraction part. Or it could be a friend, but it feels, there's like a white, not a white light, but an actual real tangible being that he is keeping an eye on. So that's the part is still here. I have no idea if he ever had children. I never heard that, but who knows? And in the past, I watched a interview with Jada Pinkett Smith, who, God love her, but something is cuckoo bananas in that woman's mind. Anyway, I asked about her because she had said that they knew each other in like school or something. And I think it was Tupac. Could be wrong. I think that was her and him. Anyway, he says there's something about her brain chemistry and drugs like ayahuasca, LSD. There's something that is a little off there. She did something that makes her brain function differently. And it's sort of like you put the wrong oil in your car, or you put the wrong kind of gas in your car. It runs, but it doesn't run well. It's the same feeling that I got. He said she's not right, but doing her best. He said, I loved her like a sister. Okay. So when I asked again about these fractions, he said immediately I got Biggie Smalls, and I have no idea what that's about. And then I feel like he and him are brothers in their spiritual group, their soul family. And I heard the word dirty. I don't know if there's a rapper named Dirty, but there's all these people, rappers, hip hop performers are connected. And this feeling, overwhelming feeling of was all of them had so much karma to unload. And he said, he said, there's some deep shit between all of us. So it's like centuries or millennia of all these different people. And some were together in one life, some weren't. He said in this time, many of us were combined to try and reconcile or release some of our karma and get some relief on our soul level. And it was really interesting because he's not like, they're not friends. I don't feel like they were friends here at all. But he said that I heard the word quest. They came on a quest together to experience this life around the same time on Earth. And it's just like a moment, a blink of an eye in the matter of time. But it's like, so your soul, just here briefly, just a flash of an eye, blink of an eye, flash of a light, and then bang, bang, get that bang, the shooting. But he feels like he's sharing with me, all of these people are connected. And they're all there to collectively bring this mood of their plight or their experience, and to also leave this world like violently, or the way they have done many times in the past, because it's what's their kind of normal. I saw them as in war times. I felt like they were knights and there was kingdoms being fought over. I mean, like forever. I feel like they were all part of that. I don't know if they were good or bad or whatever. I just feel like they were part of these dynamics from before. And okay, so let me go on. I just want to say, so I asked him again about Diddy, and he said, Diddy is creepy and weird. And he said, that MFer is strange. He's talented and hot. He uses the word hot, meaning, I don't think it was hot like he's cute or anything. It was like he's fire. He's I guess talented and really powerful in fire, but it was hot. He said so much may go unknown within all of those relationships and all of their lives. He said their sick lives now mirrored hatred and rage. Oh, the lives that they experience here mirrored hatred and rage from the war and the knights and the kingdom and wars. And he said he hates me and I hate him. But I'm like, well, on a soul, you never have that sensation of hate, right? And he's showing me that on a soul level, they have experienced so many things, and it's more of a matter of fact telling me this. It's more like, yep, this is what I did and this is what he did. And I know we changed bodies, but that's always the way it's been. So I don't feel a sense of furiousness and anger or anything like that. It's more like, this is, next time we're going to do the same thing. It's something like that. It's the energy between our souls. And it could be next time they're in a romantic relationship or something, and they'll immediately start with this, I don't know why I hate this person, but I really can't stand them kind of vibe. So it's like that. It's part of their karma. That's what that is. So then that was it. So then I said to him, okay, thank you. Maybe come back. And he was so funny. He like was bowing like, my lady kind of thing and doing, I was like, okay, that's weird. And then he put this, it wasn't a red carpet. It was like a Middle Eastern tapestry carpet on the floor. And then he put the stanchions, with the ropes, the red velvet ropes around me, but I have lots of space on this carpet. And he said, I'll protect you. And he said, I'll be here. And if you need me or whatever. I'm like, okay. I don't feel like he was my angel. It's almost like I felt like whenever I need to talk to him, he'll be right there. So I wonder if that's about keeping me safe or keeping me away from other things. I felt like it was more about keeping me safe. I don't know what that means, but he's also ready to be available. Isn't that interesting? I don't know. He said, I'll protect you and I trust you. So there you go. If you guys need any more information from Tupac, my buddy, I'll let you know. But anyway, hope you enjoyed that and let me know in the comment section. And you guys have a good day.